Okay, we're live.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am just so excited to be here today with you on day 3 of the Commuters photography training session. This has been such a beautiful program, and I'm just learning so many things that I haven't known before now. So I know that this program here, it's doing something, and I know that it has really been impactful for many of you guys who are here. And so I'd just like to welcome you all to day 3 of this photography training session, where we learn about makeup, the importance of proper makeup application, and all things makeup today from our presenter, who is actually a professional makeup artist. And her name is Nikki Allen, and she'll be teaching us some things that we thought we knew, but actually don't. And for photography, it is very important. Someone is speaking. So photography is very important in photography to have proper makeup done. I know sometimes I've seen pictures, or I see pictures, and I'm like, whoa, the photographers could tell them to fix the makeup or to take it off because it's not cute. And I know I'm not the only one. So guys, today we'll learn so much. I know yesterday was a very, very beautiful program where we learned about editing. So as we learn makeup, guys, I just invite you all to get your pens, get your books, just, get in the frame of mind to learn so that you can better yourself. Yesterday, I had persons, or Aishiba, who hosted yesterday, had persons who expressed that they'd like to, by the end of this program, get into the business of photography, while others just wanted to know the skill. And whatever reason it is that you're here, this will be very impactful for you. So thank you guys for joining, and I see persons who are still joining. Thank you all for coming. I am giving you a big welcome, a big shout out to everyone here. Shout out to those joining us from over YouTube. I'm just so excited that you're all here, and I've said that before, but I can't contain the excitement. Before we begin, let's do some housekeeping. So there's a couple persons who we tried emailing, but we couldn't get through to them. So could you just review your emails? I'll call out the emails that you had shared. And if this is you, just review and try signing up, because we sent the Adobe Lightroom program, and each day we're updating you guys via email. So for daymorgan@hotmail.com and ShaveenDoseR@yahoo.com, Beyonce1328 or Beyonce1328@gmail.com. We tried emailing you guys, but we were not successful. I'll put it in the chat. So if you know that's you, just try to update us so that we can start emailing you everything that you need. Yes, guys. Give me a minute. Okay. So guys, one more thing before we begin. For those with iMac computers, we're still working on getting Adobe Lightroom for you guys. We're working on outsourcing at the moment, so you'll receive them as soon as possible. So just bear with us, be a little patient, but we'll get that up and running for you guys as soon as possible. So back to business. My name is Sherry Campbell, and I will be your host for this afternoon's event. I am grateful for being here. Thank you all for coming on one more time. And I'm just happy that you all are here for day 3. So now, as I've been talking since we started, I'd like to see just maybe show of hands or send a heart or, something in the chat. If you have been here from day 1, I would love for you guys to just indicate that in the chat. So for all of those from who have been here from day 1, just send something. So okay, so Nataki, I remember Nataki, yes, asking her questions and all of that. Mineral Heights, Brianna Rose, Faith Emily Ramlal, Kamisha, Celine, go Celine, Ravini, Rasheen, and so many persons, Ricardo, Shamar, Shaunalee. You have all been here from day 1. And on behalf of the Commuters Publications Committee, I am just so grateful. Shanoya, Janique, oh my gosh, I'm just so grateful for you guys being so loyal to us. And, really taking this opportunity to work on yourselves, being your best selves, seizing the moment. I'm very, very grateful for that. The Commuters Publications Committee is very grateful for that. Thank you guys for all the support that you have given us. We're truly indeed grateful. So the time you all have been waiting for. Imagine 5 UAs, many regions, but one common goal, connecting all campuses through photography. So today, as we join for day 3 of the photography training session, I would like to introduce to you all Nikki Allen, as she shows us the ropes, the ins and outs of makeup when applying for photography. So guys, without further ado, I introduce to you Miss Nikki Allen. Miss Nikki, we're not hearing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. And you're looking beautiful as well.
Thank you very much. So today I'll be applying makeup for photography. I'll be showing you the basics of highlighting and contouring, as well as foundation application. I'll also be giving you some tips on how to choose a foundation shade, how to choose based on your undertone and the skin tone that you see. There are undertones to that skin tone. And then when you're choosing a concealer, you also have to choose a concealer that goes along with your undertone. So today I'll be applying makeup on my model here. I will be, based on the foundation shade that I place on her, I will be telling you how you can choose your foundation shade. I will be showing you how to highlight and contour. I'm also
Nikki, wait, hold on. There's an echo. Do you have a phone in the room that's on the event?
Connected. Just a second. Just a second.
So we're all getting used to the virtual space. So just be patient with
Okay, are you still hearing an echo now?
Oh, it's great.
It's great now?
Yeah.
Okay, so today I'll also be showing you how I do my brows. So the focus will be mostly on foundation and highlighting, but I'll give you a few tips on how I do my brows. And the eyeshadow will not be extravagant. It's just going to be a simple eyeshadow, but it's still going to be an eyeshadow look that a beginner can try. So, just a second. Are you seeing this clearly? Can you see the brows clearly?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay, yes, sir. You can see the brows clearly. Okay, so let's get right into it because we're already behind. So the first thing I usually do, I usually clean the skin, and you don't want to use a makeup wipe to clean the skin. You want to use a regular baby wipe or just wash your face. But usually I would use a regular baby wipe because makeup wipes, they have oils, they have products that are supposed to remove makeup, and they're not going to, the skin will not feel as clean as using a regular baby wipe. So this is what I'm going to do first. And before I apply any primer, I'm going to clean up her brows. So they were done about 2 weeks ago. So it's only just a few new growth hairs. I'm not sure if you can see. This one has just a few over here. So I usually just use a razor to clean it up. I prefer tweezing because tweezing or plucking, it lasts a lot longer than shaving, but most persons don't like shaving because don't like tweezing because it hurts. So for most persons, I would just shave. And her brows were already done up. They were plucked. So they were plucked 2 weeks ago, and I know you can still see the shape. They're still very clean, but I'm just removing the excess hair with this razor. All right, so that's about it. When I'm finished, I will just apply some alcohol on just a regular cotton ball because you don't want the skin to become irritated. And then that's it. So now I will apply primer. She has dry skin, so that's the first tip in choosing a foundation. Before you even get to choosing a shade, you have to know what foundation is perfect for your skin. If you're going to choose a matte foundation, then that's because you have combination or oily skin. If you're going to choose a dewy foundation, that is for dry skin. And if you have combination skin, that is when you have, say for example, her brows really are nice. So say for example, you are oily in these areas, but you are dry in these areas, then you have combination skin. And if you're oily everywhere, then you know you have oily skin. If you are dry everywhere, then you know you have dry skin. So when choosing a foundation, you first have to choose a foundation that matches your skin type before you choose one for your skin tone. So for her skin type, I know it looks, there is a little glare, but I do know because I did her makeup already that she has dry skin. So I will be applying a dewy foundation, a dewy primer. And the primer I'll be using is the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance. I'm not sure if it's focused. For lashes, I'm going to apply strip lashes. I'm going to apply these strip lashes. I don't know if I'm on your combination. Okay, in deciding if you're oily or combination, when you apply makeup after a full day of wearing makeup or after a few hours of wearing makeup, you would see where you're oily or where you begin to sweat. So some persons, based on when you bake and you set under your eyes, if you realize you don't get oily under your eyes or on your forehead or these areas because you have set it, then you know that your skin is normal. However, if you can still see beads of sweat or oil or water trickling through the powder, then you do know that you have oily skin. In deciding if you're a combination or if you're simply oily, it's based on where I get super oily after a full day in my T-zone. I didn't see that. But usually when your combination around these areas would usually be dry and then in your T-zone would be oily. So most times that is combination, but if you're oily everywhere, then you're a fully oily person. And if you are dry skin, usually for most persons who have dry skin, there tends to be scab around the brows. I don't know why, or when you use a spoolie to comb your brows, you can see just little flakes in your brows, or you can see little patches of like dry dead skin. I don't know, most times when I do this, I can tell from the eyebrows that you have dry skin because there tends to be dry skin around the brow and closer down towards your nose for persons who are dry. I don't know why. But she has dry skin. I don't know if she looks a little radiant on camera, but she does have dry skin. So I'll be applying the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance Primer. I'm not sure if you can see if it's focusing. I want to apply this over her entire face because after I apply the eyeshadow, there's going to be fallout under her eyes and I'll have to wipe under the eyes. So for now, I'm just applying it to her forehead and her brows because I will apply a foundation to the top of her brows when I'm finished cleaning up her eyebrow. And also, that is how I decide on what shade to use. But before we get there, let us just begin on the brows before we get into choosing a foundation shade. All right. Let me know if you can see the brows clearly. Please let me know if you're seeing clearly. I would like you to see this very, very clearly. because the brows are still the most important. Okay, they're clear. The brows are
Yes.
still the most important step to me. I absolutely love eyebrows. The first eyebrows were the first makeup technique I started. I just love eyebrows. So in high school, I started doing eyebrows in about fourth form. So I was 14, turning 15, and I started experimenting with eyebrows, not with a razor, but from plucking. I still love plucking, but unfortunately, you guys aren't able to bear the plucking. So I have to shave most times, but I still love plucking eyebrows. Okay, so I'm going to be using a dark brown pencil. I always use a dark brown pencil. For lighter skin tones, I will use a medium brown pencil, but I always choose it based on hair color. And of course, most persons have natural dark brown hair or black hair, and dark brown eyeliner goes well with black or dark brown hair. If your hair is a little lighter, say for example, blonde or a little reddish, even if it's extensions, I try to go a little bit lighter on the brows because you can't have eyebrows being too dark if your hair is light. It's going to bring all the focus to your brows, and you don't want all the focus to be on your brows. So when I start brows, I don't begin from the inner crease right here. I begin somewhere right here, and I press very lightly. If you see, this is as light as I'm pressing. The pencil is very pigmented. I'm not going to press on it really hard. And I try to trace a line directly under the shape of her natural brow. So I don't overdraw eyebrows at any point. Only if there are some sparse areas, I will definitely fill the sparse areas in, but I try to keep the natural. This pencil. Well, what happened is, I don't remember where this pencil is from. I don't remember this. You can get a nice pencil in Fontana or any pharmacy. You know, most pharmacies have brow products, but as long as it's dark brown, I don't remember the shade of this pencil, but as long as it's dark brown and it's pigmented enough, that's great. So I don't know if you can, when I'm just lightly pulling this on my hand and it's making a line. This is the best type of pencil to use. Pencils that are very pigmented so that you don't end up pressing too hard and then you end up with a really dark brow because you are trying to fill it in really dark. So most persons like a lighter brow pencil because you can build up the shade. However, I prefer a dark shade and I trace lightly instead of building up the shade. Because what happens is when you build up the eyebrow shade, you never notice how dark it really is until you apply your foundation. So even now, when I fill in her brows, you might think it's not filled in properly. However, it's going to look a lot fuller when you apply foundation. So that's another tip when you're doing your brows. Do not overdraw it or fill it in too much because it appears light. It's definitely going to appear a lot more pigmented when you apply your foundation. So I'm tracing the natural line of her eyebrow very lightly. Also, concealer, when you're concealing your brows, the neater the eyebrow is when you make a shape, the neater the concealer will be. So it's always better to start with a neat brow shape. Can you please, just a second, I didn't see that question. Hold on, one second.
Okay, I can read it for you.
Yeah, can you please read the question for me?
Sure, no problem. So Chanel Thomas is asking, can you do brows after the foundation?
Oh, some persons like to do brows after the foundation. However, I don't like that because when you apply brow product after you have applied foundation, the product does not sit as well on top of the foundation. So it's always, I prefer applying it before the foundation because when there's even though there's primer in her brows, I try to wipe most of the primer out with my hands because when there's another product before you apply the pencil or the powder or the pomade, it's not going to sit as well. Okay. So I prefer it like this, doing brows first. However, most persons, it's trending now where, well, this is how it's done when you're contouring your nose. It's supposed to connect to the front of the brow. So some persons prefer doing foundation first and contouring their nose so that they can naturally connect it before doing the brow. However, it's not a challenge for me to do it before. All right, so you try to trace a natural line directly under her brow. Just 1 second. I see where. All right. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but towards the end of her brow, for most persons, it's very sparse. So what I will do, I will pull the pencil down just a little. However, I don't pull it down too much because you can also use the concealer to elongate the end of the brow. So that's not a problem. Even if it doesn't appear to elongate the brow right now, you can use the concealer to do that. So we're trying to trace a natural line. And remember, I do not start from the very beginning of the brow. You also want the line to be as clean as possible and as straight as possible, not jaggedy. All right, so that seems to be very clean. Now for the top of her eyebrow, we will fill that in just as lightly as we fill the bottom, following the natural shape and just emphasizing the arch right here. This is not really about doing brows, so I could give you some more tips on doing brows. However, the focus is not necessarily on brows. But you can, if your arch isn't, just a second, I feel close. This is where I stop my filling most times. But if your arch isn't really emphasized or you can't really see your arch, you can always just fill your arch in with your brow pencil. And again, I do not overdraw the brow. I don't think there's any need to overdraw the brow. Very lightly. And I don't know if you can see, but as the brow is looking now, the arch is looking just a little bit flat. I'm going to pull it upwards just a little bit more. So beginning right here, I'm going to begin pulling my line up just a little bit more. Just to give her a little, just a tad more arch. And if you notice, I don't press on my pencil too hard. There's no need. If you press on the pencil too hard, you're going to end up with a brow that's too dark. Because like I said, I prefer to begin with pigmented pencils. It saves time. And I find it easier to press lightly on a pigmented pencil than having to build up a pencil with no pigment. And then for the front of her brow where I didn't touch, I use the spoolie and I blend the entire brow first. So I just comb. I'm trying to distribute the product evenly through her brow.
Nataki, your hair is blocking the camera.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So what I do is, I don't ever touch the front of the brow. I don't apply any pencil at all. What I do first, and you do know that the spoolie, it's like a mini sponge, so it's like a comb sponge, so it does soak up some product. It gets a lot of pigment just from combing through the brow. So I comb through the entire brow first, then I comb the front. And doing this will definitely apply pigment towards the front, but it will still be natural. Also, I'm not looking at my phone screen, so if there is a question, I would like you to repeat the question for me, please.
Definitely, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, so if there's an area that I don't think is straight enough, I will definitely go over it. And I will try to fix the shape. Also, I know as it is now, the end of her brow, it doesn't appear to be very sharp. That is going to be sharpened when we conceal. So again, just going over the front of her brow, just use the spoolie and brush through the product. And I know it doesn't appear very filled in now, but like I said, when you apply the foundation, it is definitely going to appear more pigmented. So don't worry about that.
Your hair is blocking the camera.
Again. Sorry. All right, I will just a second. All right. So when you look at her other brow, I know you can still see that this brow is very natural. This is how I do most of my brows. I don't fill it in very dark. Only if you don't have a lot of brows, I will definitely fill it in with pomade or I'll fill it in with some powder, but she has very nice brows, very full brows. So the only thing I will do is just to create a light filling, just a light filling to make them appear a little fuller. And in comparison, I know you can see this brow is definitely looking more bare and more sparse. And then if there are any areas when you comb through with the spool, if there are any areas that appear to have less product, you can just go over it with your pencil. So like something like this. Also with the pencil. Oh, how do you know when to stop? Okay, well, you just use your judgment, to be honest. So when you're looking at it, you can just tell, okay, everywhere looks filled in, everywhere looks fine. I can definitely see a shape because there are times when you won't get the shape, the exact shape that you want just by filling in with your pencil. So as long as there's a shape that you can work with, you can definitely start to apply your concealer. As long as it looks, filled into a point where it's fine, you can definitely begin to apply your concealer. So very quickly, I will just do the same with the next brow. And usually before I begin the next brow, I would sharpen the pencil, but the pencil is still okay. I don't need to sharpen it. But I always try to use a sharpened pencil because this will give you the best brow shape when the pencil is sharp. So very lightly, just tracing her natural shape. At the top as well. And you just pull the pencil through. And this is for most persons with fuller brows. So if you know that you don't have fuller brows, I don't have fuller brows. If you know that you don't have fuller brows, then you can definitely press a little bit harder on your pencil just to make the brow a little more defined. But her brows don't need all the excess powder and pigment. So usually in makeup application, the brows will definitely take me the longest because I try to make the brows as identical as possible. So you're never going to ever have both of your brows looking the same. However, the goal is to make them look as identical as possible. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but from what I'm seeing, this brow is a little higher than this brow. So I will just use my pencil and raise the arch just a little. And don't worry about any line that doesn't appear too defined. It's definitely going to be cleaned with concealer and foundation. And also, if the shapes don't appear to be identical while you're filling it in, that is fine as well. The correction or the changes can be made when you apply concealer to clean the bottom. So you just pull this through again, comb through the entire brow just to distribute the product. And also there are times, because it's a pencil, there are times when there are harsh lines. So brushing through the brow with the spoolie, because it's a sponge, it will even the product. There's a little space right there. All right. So I definitely see two areas where I would correct. Under this brow, I would raise the arch just a little to match this brow. And like I said, I will use the concealer to do this. So now let's move on to concealer. Okay. When choosing a concealer, first you have to know your foundation shade. So when I was choosing her foundation shade, usually when you choose your foundation shade, when you look at her, there is the shade that you see. So for example, you would say her skin tone is medium or medium deep, because on most product sites, so say for example, you're on the MAC site and they say choose a skin tone, I think they would categorize her as medium deep. I know with the light, she looks a little fair skinned, but based on the foundation that matches her, which is 360, Maybelline Matte and Poreless 360, based on the fact that this is the shade that matches her, they would classify her as medium deep. So a little less on the deep side, but it would definitely be medium. So that is the first skin tone that you have. For example, Don't know if you can compare, but they would say I would be medium in comparison to her. So that's the first shade. Then the second shade is her undertone. So there are 3 types of undertones. There are warm undertones, cool undertones, and neutral undertones. When you're trying to choose an undertone, it's how you appear. There's a test. I'm not sure if the test works. I've never tried the test, but I have seen the test on makeup websites and in makeup videos where in order to find your undertone, you should put on a white shirt or hold a white piece of paper or a white shirt next to your face. And based on how your face looks in comparison to that white item, the white shirt or the white paper, then you would decide your skin tone, your undertone. So it is said that if you hold the white shirt next to your face or your chest, and your face appears more rosy or a little more red, then you can say you have a cool undertone. So cool undertones are pinkish shades. So the pink shades, the red shades, and the blue shades. Those are cool undertones. I'm trying to 360. I know it doesn't appear, I don't know if you can see it, but this is definitely a cool undertone. In comparison to, let me put another shade. Don't know if you guys will be able. This is the Milani Concealing Foundation 2-in-1, and this is the Maybelline Matte and Poreless. This is this is Amber, and this is 360. So they are very close. And when you look at them, you can definitely see that this one has a red undertone. So this is a cool undertone. So warm undertones are golden undertones, peachish undertones, or yellow undertones. The yellow undertones, peachy undertones, just looking at both of these foundations, you can see that this one is definitely cool. This one is definitely warm. This one is cool because it has red undertones. This one has yellow undertones. Okay, so I will apply it to the side of her face just so you can see and you can watch it dry into her face. Also, some persons have combination undertones. So if you realize that, for example, the outer areas of her face, I don't know if you can see, but the outer areas appear reddish and the inner areas appear a little more yellowish. So definitely the outer areas would match her neck and those areas are cool. But I know you can see in these areas, they appear very yellow and lighter. So she has a neutral undertone. That means she's a combination of warm and she's a combination of cool. So what I will do, instead of applying a foundation that matches this area, I'll use a foundation that matches her red undertone, and then I will use a concealer that matches her yellow undertone. And that will bring all the colors back to her face. However, if you start out with a foundation that is yellow, it's definitely going to look off, especially in photographs. And that's when you're going to get a halo. The big, bright halo line around your face, or the big flashback that you get when you take a picture. That is because you would have chosen a color that matches an undertone that, yes, it would appear that you have that undertone, but it would have been better if you use that concealer to bring that color back to your face. So when I apply the 360 over her entire face, it's going to look dark, but it's going to match her neck and it's going to match her forehead and her cheekbones. But I will bring the color back to her face. I will bring the definition back to her face with the choice of concealer. The concealer I will use for bringing the color back to her face and also for highlighting under her brow. And all these products are very affordable, so you can definitely go ahead and purchase any one of these items that you see that I use because they are very cheap drugstore products. They can be found in any pharmacy, any makeup outlet, online, anywhere. They're very cheap, Amazon. So I'll be using Pro Conceal in the shade Fawn. And this is a shade that is used by almost everybody. And of course, Fawn is a yellow shade. Fawn is very, very yellow. This is shade 93. And there's the shade before it. There is Cool Tan. And I don't know if you guys can see, but Cool Tan is definitely not as yellow as Fawn. So to bring the color back to her face after I have applied the foundation, I will use Fawn. Also, I will use Fawn to clean up her brow because we're trying to keep the colors on her face consistent. So instead of applying a cool foundation, a cool concealer and everything, her face would definitely not look as radiant. So it's better if you contrast undertones when you apply your concealer. So if you do notice that you are cool, let's say you appear red, that is when you have matched your face with a white item. If you realize that you appear red, then it's best to choose a concealer that is yellow. That will definitely bring some radiance back to your face. If you realize that you are yellow, like for example, the foundation that I use is Cappuccino, which is 340. It is very, very, very yellow. So when I apply it, I look extremely yellow. But in order to contrast that, I use a cool concealer. So I do use Cool Tan on myself, and Cool Tan has a pink undertone, a pinkish reddish undertone. So that will contrast the yellow foundation that I applied on myself. So that is one of the best tips that you can use in choosing a concealer and foundation. So choosing a foundation, hold a white shirt or a white piece of paper, that's what they say. Or you can definitely just use testers, apply them all to your face, give them some time to oxidize, and then you will see the color that is your closest match. I did apply some foundation on her cheek. I don't know if you can see it, but it is oxidizing well, and it does match her neck, and it does match her forehead. So in choosing a foundation, wearing a white shirt or holding a white piece of paper up to your face, you can determine if against the paper you appear reddish or if you appear bluish. And bluish is mostly for a lighter skin person. So most lighter skin persons, they are definitely cooler toned. So I don't know if you know, for lighter skin persons, their veins appear blue, their face, you can definitely just see the radiance in their skin tone and they look red. So they're most lighter skin persons are cool toned. Most medium to deep skin tones are warmer. So the foundation I chose is Fawn. Fawn has a warm undertone, and I will use that shade to clean up her eyebrow. Also, I don't apply it directly to the brow line. Apply some product lower on the eyelid, and then I work my way up. Also, the product dries quickly. If the product is drying faster, then you can blend it out. You can always apply some facial spray. I have the Maria Badescu facial spray. This facial spray is hydrating. So for somebody who has oily skin, I would suggest using a facial spray that is a little bit more matte. Okay, so I work my way up. Then, and also there isn't a lot of product on this. If you realize it's not a lot of product, quickly create a straight line. And when applying concealer, you always want to pull the concealer downwards. It appears a lot more natural when you pull it downwards. If you pull it across and you leave it across, there's going to be a line of demarcation directly under the brow, and that is going to appear a lot more drawn on instead of just filled in. So while you're blending, you're pulling the product downwards. And also the lighter concealer, I never apply it towards the front of her brow. I apply a darker concealer because the front of her brow is supposed to blend with her nose contour. So I will leave the product somewhere here. This is as far as I will go with the lighter concealer, just as when I was filling in. And this is as far as I went with the pencil. And if you notice, the product is drying, and that is good. It's always easier to work with the product while it is drying. It gets difficult if the product dries out completely, but it's a lot harder to work with wet, watery products. So if you notice this is drying, but that is fine, it will be a lot easier to blend. It is harder to blend the products that are wet. So what you can do, if you have a foundation or a concealer that is wet, apply it to the skin, allow it to sit for a second. You can even go near the fan for a second and allow it to dry out. It will be a lot easier to blend after it is a little bit dried and tacky. Blending wet products will not distribute evenly, and the brush or the sponge is definitely going to absorb the excess product. All right, so we do have a brow shape here. And if you notice, because I drew, well, yeah, I did draw it. Because I drew the brow very neatly, the only thing I have to do when I conceal is to outline it. There's not much cleaning up to do. There isn't a lot of mistake. And also when you're doing, when you're concealing your brow, to get a more arched brow, right under this area, just bring the concealer a little more upwards. So we're not going to make a crazy super arch, just a little bit more arched. Also, you don't want to rush when you're doing your eyebrows. Eyebrows are very important. The eyebrows will frame your face. You don't want your brows to be off at any point. So you don't want to rush. All right, so there we have a nice clean brow. I only apply the concealer towards the tip, the very tip. I stop right here and I never apply to the top. On the top, I always apply foundation that is your skin tone. It will allow the brow to appear a lot more natural. So you can definitely speed the process up once you have moved from the brow, but I don't recommend speeding the process up for your brows. You definitely want to move a little slowly while you conceal your eyebrows. Because even though this concealer dries quickly, it's still wet. So it's very easy to make a mistake. Trace the line, pull it downwards. Pull it downwards. Always pull the product downwards to allow it to look more natural. Because there's going to be a line if you pull it across and constantly pull it across. Pull it downwards. So we're just trying to get the brows very neat, after which we can speed up the rest of. And like I said before, you can pull your concealer downwards in order to elongate the brow. And if you notice anywhere on one brow that is not identical, you can always go in. You don't need to apply excess product. Always go in with your same concealer brush and fix any area that needs a little more product or that needs to be cleaned up. Just a little higher under the arch. Just a little higher under this arch. Just a second. All right, so towards the front of the brow, we'll be applying a darker concealer. And this shade is Beautiful Bronze. So any darker products can be applied towards the front of the brow. If you want to use your foundation towards that area, that's fine. Or if you want to use your foundation, just any darker shade, not super dark, but a color that is close to your foundation. I prefer to apply a darker concealer towards the front because it allows the brow to look a lot more natural. And then the darker, it's not super dark, still matches her skin tone, but we don't want to apply the same fawn concealer because it's going to look like a halo brow. And halo brows are not trending anymore. Natural, fluffy, bushy brows are in now. So it doesn't have to be bushy, but as natural as you can get it. So I still like to highlight the arch with a clean concealer, but towards the front as natural as possible. And I know you can barely see the product in the front of her brow, but it's going to blend with her foundation. And the darker concealer is a lot easier to work with, so I can move quickly. After this step, we will just blend the concealer onto her entire eyelid, set with a loose powder, and then we can begin eyeshadow. All right. Okay, so what you do when applying the concealer, so the same light shade that we used before, we're going to take it and pull it onto her entire eyelid. Towards the front, we'll be applying the darker shade. Also, applying the darker shade helps when you are blending the eyeshadow, the transition shade for the eyeshadow. So what you will do, your sponge, your beauty blender, spray it. Thank you. Spray it. So you're going to use a damp beauty blender and distribute the product over the entire eyelid. You can also use a brush, whatever you prefer. You never want to take it too close to the brow because you don't want to risk ruining the brow shape. Also, I like to pull this outwards so that I can blend this concealer with your foundation instead of having the line stop right here. I pull it out towards outer crease of the eye, and this will definitely help when I'm blending the foundation. Also, using a damp beauty blender is always easier. A dry beauty blender, because it's a sponge and you do know that sponge soaks up any liquid, it will soak up all the concealer or the foundation or whatever it is if it is dry. So in order to not waste all your product, you just want to use a damp beauty blender, damp brush, damp everything. Just spray it with your facial spray. And towards the brow line, I use a brush just to blend out any harsh line. And if you notice, I'm not touching the front because I do not want to blend the darker shade into the lighter shade all the way over to the tip. I just want it to stay in the middle. So I will blend the lighter shade first. And then when I'm sure that I've blended all of the lighter shade and I'm satisfied with how it looks. And also you can use as much product as you would like over the eyelid. So if you want it to look super, super clean and you want to create a super bright base for bright eyeshadows, that's fine. You can apply more product and you can even use as light a concealer as you want to use just to allow your eyeshadow to appear more pigmented. So now that I'm satisfied with the lighter shade, I will use the back of my brush that was untouched, camera untouched, and I will blend the darker shade into the lighter shade. You can blend it outwards and towards this area because it's a shade that matches her foundation. So it will be fine when we are blending that foundation. Also, if you notice that, where's this cool? The front of the brow doesn't have, yeah, eyebrows take a really long time, but once you have perfected the eyebrows, the rest of the process is very, very easy and very quick. But if you have really neat eyebrows, nobody notices that your foundation is off. Well, not too off. Nobody's going to notice that your eyeshadow isn't very blended once you have really, really neat eyebrows. And you want to blend the front. Just a little more pigment in this brow. pull the color towards the front. All right. And then really quickly for the top of her brow, I will apply foundation to clean it up. This is another simple step because the hardest step was outlining the brow and concealing the brow. However, this step is very simple, very quick because it is a shade. So also when I'm choosing a foundation shade for clients, I can't just look at you and there are some persons I can definitely just look at you and tell that this shade would match. But what I do is I always apply the product to the top of the brow and then I allow it to sit. So by the time I'm finished with her eyeshadow, I will see how the product oxidizes. I will see how it sits into the skin. And then I can determine if that foundation shade was too dark or too light. And then I can definitely go in with a shade up, a shade down, or whatever shade I think matches. But this is the little trick I do when I'm trying to determine what foundation shade to use. I simply go ahead and conceal the top of the eyebrow. I'm not sure if I'm blocking that, but it's the angle that I need my hand to be at. And you pull this product outwards. We don't want to create a line of demarcation, so outwards. So you do know that when air touches the makeup, it oxidizes. So you will see the undertone of the foundation. You will see, is it yellow? Is it red? Is it gray? Then you can determine after you have applied the eyeshadow if that's the shade you want to go in with or if you want to change the shade. Sorry about the angle. I'm just used to using that angle. And then towards the end of the brow, I would like to pull the foundation down. Then use this brush and blend the concealer. Okay. Next brow. Also, this is not a brow session. I will upload eyebrow tutorials on my foundation page, on my makeup page. So if you would like a very detailed eyebrow tutorial, you can visit the page after this session. You can follow the page, and in the coming weeks, I will upload some eyebrow tutorials. Because usually when I'm doing my eyebrows, there's no talking, there's no anything. I can focus solely on the brows. I can map out the entire brow. So if you check the Instagram page is official beauty club _. If you check the Instagram page, you can see that I put a lot of time into my eyebrows. So even talking a while, trying to map out my brow now, it's new to me. I really focus on my brows. Okay, if this was a new client, I would not have gone in with all of this product and I would not have carried it all the way up onto her forehead because I wouldn't know if it's the correct shade for some persons, that is. Because I know that this shade matches her, I'm just going all the way in and I'm spreading it out. Also, I do see areas of both brows that aren't super identical. But like I said, if I'm going to make them identical, it's going to be a long evening. So we just want to speed the eyebrow process. Just a second. This angle is bad. Usually I walk directly around any client. It's easier to pull all this foundation down. Then towards the front of the brow, you blend it into the foundation. And all of this is going to appear more pigmented and nicer when we have finished. And we will also be using an eyeliner brush just to create some hair-like strokes when we're finished. Oh, this eyebrow it's the angle. I can't get all the way over here. All right. The bottom of your sponge, using the bottom of your sponge, spray the sponge. And just blend this out before it dries so that it doesn't create a line by the time we get to foundation application. So just try to blend it into the skin, see how it sits, give it some time while we get to eyeshadow. All right, so I'm not sure. Do I see? Are you seeing everything? Are you seeing the entire brow and the entire face clearly? I'm not sure if you can see everything clearly.
Yes, we're seeing.
Okay. All right, so now we're going with eyeshadow. I'm using the Morphe 3502 palette. That is the Second Nature palette. And also, before I do that, I will set the concealer on her eyes. So what you can do, if you're not sure if your concealer was creased, just go in with the beauty blender again. Also, if I wanted the shadow to be super bright, I would have used a lot more concealer. It's not necessary. And we are setting it with loose powder, and this is the Sacha Buttercup powder. Setting the concealer will allow the eyeshadow to sit perfectly on top of the concealer. And you set the entire area where you applied concealer. All right, and there you have it. Okay, so these brushes are very cheap brushes. You can get them on Amazon. These are the BS Mall brushes. This is the BS Mall brush set. I think it's about it's about $10 on Amazon. These brushes are very nice. They're very good. If you want to try brushes that are, I wouldn't say expensive. It's a little pricier, but they are very good. You can also try Real Techniques. Real Techniques have really nice products, really nice brushes. So we will begin with a very light brown shade. So I'm using a very light brown shade just to transition, because when you apply your contour, you would blend the brown shade down and up. So also I always try to connect a little bit of brown in this area where I will connect my contour. But this is not the shade that I'm going to go in with fully. I always start with a lighter shade than what I intend to apply. So if I intend to apply, even if it's a smoky dark brown, I always apply the lightest possible shade. Applying a lighter shade will definitely allow your blend to be seamless. If you start with a darker product, it's a darker shade. This is the palette, the Morphe 3502. Let's say I started with one of these browns down here. It would have been super, super hard to blend it towards the brow. So what I do, I start with the lightest shade and I blend upwards. And I know you can't see the shade now, but that's fine. Also, I'm going to go in with a pinky shade now. I'm trying to build not a super pigmented dark purple, but a darker purple shade. Also, I always blend from this outer crease, the very outer crease of her eye. Always start my blending right here in a line upwards. I don't always touch the brow, but as close to the brow as possible for it to look as natural as possible. And I always, most times, I empty most of the product right here. So most of the product on my brush, I will just put it right in the crease at the corner right here. and then I just blend upwards. So we're trying to build up a really dark shade. Not too dark, but the final color should be a plummish purple. Also, what you do when I'm blending, let me find another brush. When I'm blending these areas, instead of applying more product, what I will do, I will take a clean brush. There's no product on this brush. I will take a clean brush and just blend this color that I already have upwards. So it's going to create a lighter shade than the shade that you already have right now. And that's fine. That's fine for the blend. If you look on this eye, I don't know if you can see where you can see a line with the pink. That's fine. Using a clean brush, just use a clean brush and create a lighter shade up into the brow. Also, what you can do when you want to clean up that shade, use a lighter pink, a lighter brown, a lighter anything. Also, there are some shades that you might think is for lighter skin tones. For example, just looking at this palette, you may not want to use these shades because you think they're for a lighter skin tone and they will never show. Those are the shades you use for transition. When you apply your foundation, you notice that those shades are a lot more pigmented than they were when you were applying your eyeshadow. So trying to blend the crease, you can definitely use even this shade or this shade. You won't see it. So I'm applying it now, and I know you definitely cannot see it. But when you clean it up with your foundation, it is a lot more seamless. Using these light shades, they're very good for transitioning. They're very good for blending. All right, so now I have a base. I have a base right here. And the base, I know you can see it looks very pinky, but I want a more plum shade. Something a little more like this. I now take that plum shade and I'm going to create a line. This line will remain a little more unblended. So you tap, and also when you're trying to create a deeper shade eyeshadow, tap. So instead of blending it out totally, just tap it on. So I'm tapping it into the crease right here. I will go again and I will blend with a clean brush without applying more product. Take the plum shade again. Plum shade again. There's also, well, by now I know most of my palettes. If you have a good memory, then you would know what colors are in what palettes. So I know what colors are in most of my palettes. I have another palette here that I know it has a deep plum shade, and I definitely want that plum shade for this look as well. So I will go in and I will use a plum shade. This is another very affordable palette. Beauty Glaze Color Studio Pressed Eyeshadow Palette. It doesn't appear very purple, but it's very purple. This one, it's very plummy. Applying this in the crease as well because it's darker than the one that's in the Morphe palette. And I know you can see it deepening up. Also, this palette is very, very, very pigmented. So it's affordable and pigmented. It's about $25 or maybe 20. And I know you can see there's definitely a dark line, but that's fine. When she opens her eyes, having the dark line in the crease is definitely going to give us some more depth and some more definition. Just packing this color in. And I don't know if you noticed, I'm never going into these areas. I'm just creating a little arch right here. Avoiding the front, but still building it up. Also, there are some corrections I want to make to the eyebrow, but that's fine. Whenever I get to foundation, I always see exactly what I need to fix on the brows, and then I do just that. So this plum shade is definitely deepening up very nicely. And I don't know if you can see, but I can see where the pink shade that I used before, it's creating a transition under the plum shade. So that's why I started with the pink shade as well. There is a transition under here. I will definitely go in again. Yeah. So that's another thing you can do. Instead of having to put the plum, then put the pink, you can start, well, when you know what colors complement each other. So I did know that that pink would have complemented the plum shade. So I started with that pink. And now I really like how it looks, and I will go in again and I will just go in front of the plum shade. See, so you can definitely see. I hope my left hand self can do this. No, you can't, because this is so simple. This is all just blending. And also blending is what makes any eyeshadow. Just blend. Just don't stop tapping it. So you do know that that means that you have to start your foundation routine way before you're ready to go out. So if you're going out at 12, start at 10. I take at least 2 hours. You need 2 hours for a nice face. Trust me. You don't want to rush a nice face. So this is very simple. There's no cut crease. There's no extra step. These are all beginner steps. I'm using the pink shade, this one, and I'm applying it under the plum shade. So I'm not touching the plum shade again. I'm trying to create a transition here. Also, no, honestly, you need 2 hours for a nice face. 2 hours, promise, 2 hours. She take 5 hours. I want to see that face. All right. So here we have the pink blended nicely into the plum. And you can just go ahead, apply more of what you want. I want to deepen the plum just a little bit. And because I know that there's this dark brown right here, it complements the plum nicely. I will just run it again in a line. This one, we don't necessarily want to pack this dark brown because we're trying to deepen the plum. So you can run it through it. Instead of packing, just run it through it. So I will just run the brown through the plum just to deepen the plum a little bit. I'm not cutting any creases today. I'm doing very simple steps. It's still a glam eye, but these are very, very simple steps that anyone can use. All right, so just a little more plum and a little more brown for this eye. All right, so when we're blending, we don't want to go too closely to the plum shade because that's going to spread it upwards. What we're going to do, I'm going to take the very lightest pink that I see here. Maybe this pink. Or any one of those transition shades that we use, the ones that we talked about, that they don't appear very pigmented, but when you apply your shadows, they're very nice. Dust the excess product and just run it very closely to the plum, but not in the plum or on the plum, as close as possible. So I tapped here, I tapped here, I tapped up here, dust it off as close as possible to the plum, but not on the plum. Trying to blend this color now. Now, when you feel like you have applied enough color as close as possible to the plum, now I'm going to run both colors together. I'm just going to do this. So it's softening the plum a little, but it's also giving it a smoother transition. Then, once I believe that there is enough transition between both colors, I will go in with the plum again. Tap. Just try to tap the color around. So we're still blending. We're kind of just, doing a little tapping. Also, you don't want to use a heavy hand when you're applying eyeshadow. Trust me, if you ruin your eyeshadow by going in too dark, it's always hard to lighten. But if it's light, it's always easier to darken. Just trying to use a light hand. And that's the technique I use for almost every step in makeup application, using a light hand. As light a hand as possible. I'm going again with the darker brown because I want to deepen the crease. When she opens her eyes, you're going to see where the crease is a little darker. So I want to darken the crease just a little bit more with the darker brown. Just to give a little oomph in her crease. Run the darker brown. All right. Now for her lids, if you want to brighten your lids, you can definitely apply more concealer, blend out the concealer, set the concealer again with setting powder. However, I'm going to be applying a glitter, so I just need a base color, a very simple base color. It doesn't necessarily have to be too pigmented because I will go in with glitter, but I just need a background shade. So let me see if the color I want is in here. Yes. I'm using the Morphe 35B palette. I think this is the artist something palette, but it's the Morphe palette. I'm using the lavender shade now. It's a matte shade, but I just need to create a little base for the glitter that I will use. So I'm just tapping it in the inner corner here where I didn't apply any color. The glitter I'll be using is purple and blue glitter. It's very nice. I will not do a cut crease because this is supposed to be beginner friendly. Well, I decided I wanted it to be beginner friendly, so I will not be cutting her crease, but still applying glitter, just to let you know that you can still apply glitter without having to cut your crease. All right, so I just wanted a simple base color, so I used the lavender. This is the glitter I'll be using. It's blue and purple. I have glitter primer here. This is a very cheap glitter primer. It was from, I think it was from Beauty Glazed or LA Girl, but it's a very cheap glitter primer. It's like lip gloss, sticky, it's clear, and you just run it on top of the shade that you just did. Allow it to sit for a second. Allow it to get a little bit tacky. Then you're going to spray your eyeshadow brush and tap it into the glitter. I don't want to apply excess glitter, so I will. Also, what you can do, if you don't want to spray your brush, use the same brush you apply your glitter with and just tap it over the primer. So the brush is getting tacky and the glitter will stick to the brush. When you're applying these glitters, you simply push them onto the skin. Just push it onto the skin. That is all. Because I tapped the brush, the brush got sticky. The pigment piled onto the brush. And now we're just packing it towards the front. Then I will go over it just to distribute it. And if you wanted this to be a little more loose, you could definitely use less. When doing it on your face, it's way different. Yeah, it's very different when you're doing it on, yeah, it's very, very, very different. Very different. And just to distribute, because I don't want it to be concentrated in one place, just to distribute it. So we're not cutting a crease, but you're following a line. When you're finished, you're going to see how easily you can apply glitter onto yourself without having to cut your crease. Prime. And I'm concentrating it towards the front. I will blend the color with an eyeshadow color You can do that as well. A little more primer. Brush to blend. Touch the glitter. Touch the eye. Also, you don't want to bring the glitter too far down to her waterline. That is the line where your lashes are. Because when you are applying the liner, it's going to give you a challenge. Also, I know a number of persons believe that foundation is the hardest and takes the longest. Foundation is the easiest part of any routine, and it takes about 10 minutes, in my opinion. If you know your shade and you know the shades you want to apply, that is concealer shade, foundation shade, applying foundation to me takes very little time. All right, so we're concentrating the glitter towards the front, tapping it outwards, just so that it spreads a little. Then we will be using a color, this deep purple from the palette. Hold on. Same. And we will try to create a transition right here between the deep purple and the plum. Just a little bit, a very, very small amount. Also, you want to try to use colors that complement each other. So if you decide to use purple, you may want to stay in the purple family. Unless you decide to be really artsy and you decide to mix colors, you want to stay in the same family. I'm going again with the plum, deepening right here. So we are smoking out the edges just a little. And we're going in again with the plum shade and the brown. Then we will apply a color with a little bit of shimmer between both. Not this one, this one. A little shimmer between both colors. Shimmer colors, I mean, you can definitely see which ones are, I don't know if you can see on camera, you can see which ones are matte, which ones are shimmer, matte. And trust me, glitter looks crazy until you have applied eyeliner and lashes. Then you realize that the glitter is really nice. So I know it looks crazy now until you have applied eyeliner and lashes. And we are ignoring very close to the eyelids because there has to be eyeliner also. If you're doing glitter, you may want to do a very, doesn't have to be very thick, but a thick enough eyeliner. So I'm putting the purple shade directly. And trust me, it all comes together when you are through with the foundation routine. Okay, the darker purple. It's all about just, thank you. It's all about just choosing shades that will complement each other. Going in again with the darker purple. However, this dark purple will definitely be smoked because I'll be adding just a tad of black. Just a tad of black will be placed onto it. And I'm not raising these colors too high, so when she opens her eye, open your eyes. When she opens her eyes, these colors will not go above her crease. Okay. So we're trying to focus it in the crease. So we're darkening the crease area with the purple, and I'm going to apply some black to it as well. Don't worry, it will all come together. Eyeshadow can never truly be spoiled. When you have a good foundation routine, eyeshadow really can never be spoiled. Then we're going again with our plums and our browns and our blacks. And we're gonna darken it. Tap a black, tap the brown, tap the plum, push them right into this outer corner. We want it to be a little dark. So it's going to be glam. So just blend them all together. And don't worry about the crease. The crease will come together with another transition shade, or you can simply use a clean brush again to blend the crease. Another clean brush. The colors that you think don't show, but they really do show, one of them. Tap. Another clean brush, run them together. Still not taking it too high, because when she opens her eyes, most of this glam should be focused in the crease. Trust me, it all comes out nicely when you are through. You can also use your pink, apply it directly to both shades. Blend and soften the same pink that we began with. It blends and softens the black. Same thing, tap it onto it, blend and soften the dark color. We're basically finished with the eyeshadow now. We will apply the liner, lashes, and we're through. You don't need to cut your crease to apply glitter and look nice. You will see once the lashes are all applied. Clean brush again, directly. Okay, eyeliner is not the easiest step, but I find dip eyeliner to be a lot easier to work with than eyeliner pens, because you're controlling the tip. So the tip is very sturdy. With eyeliner pens, they're not as sturdy. It's not as easy to use. I always draw a straight line as close as possible to the waterline. And then I try to pull my hand up slant, in a slant direction. So towards the inner areas of the eye, the line is flat, directly on her waterline. Towards the middle and the outer end, I try to do a slant. Also, you can decide how thick you want the liner to be by creating another line on top of the line that you have just created. Pull it down in a slant motion. See, it's very easy to use. Well, in my opinion, it's very easy to use the brush because you are controlling the brush. It is very sturdy. Then just pull a straight line. As straight as you can. And connect both lines. What you can do, if your hand isn't straight enough, trying to find a brush. Your hand isn't straight enough, the same brush that I used for the foundation, eyeliner. If your hand isn't straight enough, the same brush, I use a clean brush, and a clean brush is very simple. I don't know. Using a clean brush along the wet liner, it's very good for pulling the edges out, as opposed to using the same eyeliner brush with lots of product. Using a clean brush, well, not clean, it has some foundation, so it will clean up the edges. Using a brush like this, for me, I find it easier to just pull it along. So I will, most times, trying to flatten the brush. So most times, when I get to the very edge, I will use the clean brush and run it along the product. And I find it creates a straight line without distributing too much product. You also don't need to take your eyeliner up too high. There is no need, unless you are doing very, very glam. There is no real need. You just need to darken the waterline so your lashes will appear a little more natural. Or trying to not have the lash band appear too obvious. You clean up your line, running along the same line at the top of the same line you created. You can make it thinner, not thinner, you can make it thicker. Just pull your line upwards.
Your hair keeps blocking.
Oh, I'm sorry. The clip moved. So when you're trying to make your eyeliner thicker, just continue to draw straight lines on top of the line that you have already created. So instead of going all the way up to the top and creating a line that is way out of or not along the line that you already have, instead of doing that, just try to trace lines on top of the line that you already have when you are thickening the eyeliner. So that's the line I have. I'm going along the same line and thickening it. Find it so much simpler to use the brush, because you see I'm pulling it back and forth with not a lot of mess. If it was the pen, the tip of the pen is a little too flexible and it's very, very hard to focus it. So you see we have a straight line here and you trace it over. And then you do the same thing for and then most times you will find that you have one eye completely perfect. You move on to the next eye and then we have problems. Whenever you move on to, say for example, I just started this eye and I see where this one is starting to get thicker than this one. Of course, I have to start going over this one that I already just did. That is fine. As long as it's not a crazy thick shape that you can't correct, it's always fine. Just go in, go over the next brow, go over the next liner and thicken it to match the one that is too thick. And like I said, when I thicken it, I just try to pull a straight line on top of the line that I've already created. And I use a clean brush, well, not clean brush, a brush with no product, to pull the outer edges out. It makes it a lot simpler than using the same eyeliner product with eyeliner brush with lots of product. Unless you are a pro, I don't recommend you doing that. But if you have mess, it is very simple to clean up your mess. Using a clean brush and pulling it directly under the liner with foundation. Okay, just a little thickness. So we are finished, and when I am finished, we will be finished in just a second. And then as soon as I'm finished with this, I'll be applying lashes. And then that's it. So we have both our eyeliners nice and clean. Quickly apply some mascara. And we're applying mascara onto her lashes because we used colored eyeshadow and the fallout is on her lashes. So we're trying to darken her lashes before we apply the false lashes. Also, when applying false lashes, first you want to cut it to match the length of your eye. Most false lashes are longer than your eyes. If you have bigger eyes, you don't always cut them. For example, I don't always cut my lashes, I have bigger eyes. So I would measure, that is, you place it directly on your lash line, run it along, and see where it needs to be cut. So a little part needs to be cut off the edges right here before we apply it. But applying lashes is very simple. When I'm applying lashes, I stick the middle, then I just tap the inner edge and then the outer edge. And to me, that works every time when I stick the middle part first. I'm using another cheap glue. I believe this is on Amazon as well. It's Star Glue. It's dark. I prefer using dark glue because, you know, there's eyeliner that is dark. Everything's already dark. So I find that the dark glue just works. I don't know, it just matches. I find that I give up on lashes thinking to get fusion. I like fusion. My only problem with fusions, they fall out very easily. And with fusions, you know, when you have lashes, both lashes look the same. When you have fusions, when the hair begins to fall out, it doesn't match. Yeah, they fall out very easily. When clients have fusion lashes, like from each eye, you would lose maybe 5 before the end of the application, or like 3 per eye, or 2 over here, 1 over there. And then the eye doesn't look even. So that's why I like strip lashes. The hairs are even, the eye looks identical. That's the only thing I don't like with fusions. The hairs aren't identical. So what you want to do, you can put this in front of the fan, or you can, what's a fusion? Fusion lashes, individual lashes, lash extensions, where they place 1 hair at a time or a cluster of hairs into your natural lashes. Or you can blow on the strip, and allow the glue to get tacky before we tack it down. So what I always do, the middle first. Works every time for me, the middle first. You can even hold it down if you need to. Then inner corner, and then outer corner. I do this on my lashes as well. I find it so easy doing it like this. Middle first, inner corner, and then outer corner. Tips for persons with, I didn't see that question. Can you read that question for me, please?
So she's asking for tips for persons with extreme short curly lashes.
Oh dear, those are the worst lashes to have. No, honestly.
Exactly, that is my lashes. Like, what I have to do, I have to be holding down my lash to put it on, or the fake lash cannot go exactly on the lash. Like, it's
exactly
so
on the lash line. And for persons like that, you'd have to, I mean, you can't fight, you just cannot fight it. You can't fight the lash. So what you have to do is put it maybe a little bit above, then apply mascara, and then I would use my fingers to press them and clamp them together. It's very hard if you have nails. But oh my God, persons with those type of lashes is the worst, absolute worst. But what would I would tell you to, I don't know if you know how to use an eyelash curler. An eyelash curler works because it clamps the lash onto your lash line. Because I promise you will never get it directly onto your lash line. Those lashes are so hard to work with. So using an eyelash curler when you don't get it directly on the line, if it's hard for you to clamp it with your fingers, using an eyelash curler, it's always easier to just tap them together, and it pulls the lash down. When you clamp the eyelash curler, yeah, they're cheap too. Eyelash curlers are really cheap. So using an eyelash curler, you know, because it's really hard when I use a curler to, yeah. When you use the curler, it pulls the lash down and clamps them together. So, you know, it's hard to just tack it onto it. So the curler would just tap them together for you. And I'm moving this back and forth, just allow it to dry a little bit and get a little tacky. I'm also blowing on it, whichever one works. But when you apply the lashes with the glue, when it's not tacky, makes it a little harder. So what I do, I stick the middle, I stick the inner corner, and for her it's simple because her lashes are straight. Inner corner, push them down, very, very inner corner.
Nikki, Abigail is asking which glue is it that you use?
I use Star Glue. Just 1 second. I'm just taking this down and I'll show you. It's really cheap. It's on Amazon. Here it is. And it's dark. It is very cheap and it's on Amazon. And it's really, really good. I like it because it's dark. I prefer working with dark glue. For some reason, I find that the white glues or the lighter glues, they don't dry as quickly. Open your eyes, please. They don't dry as quickly and waste time. For example, I don't recommend duo glue. It takes a very, very long time to get tacky and it's just a mess. It's a real mess. I don't recommend duo glue. It takes a very long time to get tacky. And then what you can do, just to open your eyes, please. Which one? Sometimes it will stick. You will just use a tweezer. Open your eyes. Still going? Which one is going? Yeah. Just use a tweezer and pull the glue apart. Up. Up again. Push. Right. And then you will just apply a little bit of mascara. Up again. Use your fingers and just clamp them together. Oh, this is harder if you have nails. So if you can, without poking yourself in your eye, if you can, use that tweezer. I actually use the tweezer for myself. I find it a lot easier using the tweezer. But I know that some persons prefer to use their hands. Some persons find that a lot easier, but I don't. So I'm cleaning up the excess. Also, what I'm going to do towards the outer areas where I didn't apply a lot of glitter, I will apply just a little bit, but not with primer. I will wet a brush, and I will tap a little on to just to fill the line and the space that we have here. That's another trick. If you don't want your glitter to be as pigmented, you can apply it using setting spray. It sticks, but it is not as it's not as clustered, so you can apply it loosely with setting spray. Most things when you're applying it on your face, there is a hack or there's something else that you can do to get it on, trust me. So I know when you watch YouTube, you probably feel like you need all those products. You don't need all those products. You truly don't. There's a hack for almost everything. And you can Google these hacks too. So let's say one day you don't have glitter primer. You can literally Google it. How can I get my glitter on without glitter primer? Google will tell you, wet your brush. Or Google will tell you things like, you can apply gloss and allow it to stick to gloss. Google will tell you a million things. So if you watch YouTube and you find that you don't have all these products, that's fine. Really, you don't need to break your back for products that are in YouTube videos. There's always a substitute product that you can use.
Some of our viewers are asking where you got the lashes.
Oh, so the lashes, I purchased them where I live. So I will not be able to give you a link for the lashes, but lashes, these same lashes, they're all on Amazon. So I purchase lashes from some vendors sometimes, but I do know that they're all on Amazon. However, they're just more accessible when I get them from, you know, close to where I live or close to where I work. It's just a lot more accessible because let's say I run out of lashes one day, I'm not able to order it and get it tomorrow. But I do know you don't need to get lashes on Instagram. You can support a store if you like. That's always nice to support a store, but you don't need to get lashes on Instagram. You can always purchase these same lashes on Amazon. All right, we're moving into the foundation. Also, along the way, you're definitely going to have spillouts, you're going to have messes, you're going to have, but that's simple. Just now I had a little mess with that's fine. With the liner, you just run the brush over the liner again. That's fine. There's never anything makeup related that is permanent. There's never anything that you apply onto your face that can't be fixed, can't be moved. So wherever you have a mess, just fix it really quickly. I'm just deepening the outer corners of the eyeshadow with the darker purple. And you do see you didn't need to cut your piece or anything just to have that nice purplish. So now we're moving on to foundation, and I promise you this will take about 10 minutes. It's very simple foundation because we have already found her match. To clean this up, I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol. You can use a wet wipe, anything wet, just to remove the sprinkles. If you have any remaining sprinkles on your face, that's fine. When the pigment is fine, there are some sprinkles that are fine. The foundation covers it.
So is that an advantage of applying the foundation last or after the eyeshadow?
Yes, that is definitely an advantage because, well, if you're doing a soft glam, you can definitely go ahead just put on your foundation first, because most times when you're doing a soft glam, you would use a matte eyeshadow, not much pigment, and then it's brown. So when you're using a brown eyeshadow and it falls onto your foundation, you know it doesn't really show because it's brown with your foundation. But when you're using these colors, it's very hard to correct. But what I do know, if you prefer to apply your foundation first, what you can do is to put some excess loose powder under your eyes, and it will be easy to dust the fallout away. So I know that some makeup artists do that. You can just, when you're finished with your entire foundation routine, apply some loose powder under your eyes, then you can dust the fallout away. But I find this is a whole lot nicer because you can wipe the skin, you can clean the skin. And I don't know if you remember, I didn't apply any primer, so I'm not wasting any product. Didn't apply the primer under her eyes. So now I can go in with my primer after cleaning the skin again. Also, glitter is not the easiest thing to work with. Well, it's messy. So it's easy to work with, it's just messy. Very, very messy. And then, just to clean up. Okay, so now you're anticipating the foundation routine. However, the foundation routine is very, very, very simple. Just cleaning the top of your brow right here where I think needs a little cleaner. Just 1 second, I'm just trying to fix.
So what's the difference between using a primer and not using a primer?
Okay, it's just how the product sticks to your skin. So when you don't use a primer, the product doesn't stick to your skin as nicely. And also, okay, so For example, do you know, I don't know if you have ever painted or if you do know, like when you're painting and you would apply some white paint under it, just like a base, it it is better for the distribution. So I don't know, you know, when you apply some colors when you're painting and it just doesn't distribute as nicely, and it looks a
Right.
little blotchy, it looks a little blotchy here and there. What the primer does, it helps with the distribution of the product. So because the entire skin, okay, so let's say your combination in here is very oily and out here is dry. When you apply the foundation, it's going to stick to different parts of the skin differently. So in here, it might just soak nicely into the oily parts of your skin, and then the outer part of your skin, it might just sit on top of that. When you apply the primer, it's a base. So the foundation will sit the same way across your entire face. So primer is a base. You don't ever want to skip a base because a base will ensure a nice finish. However, the best base is taking care of your skin, to be very honest.
Definitely.
That is the best base because if you have acne, you know point blank that the foundation application will definitely not be as nice. If you have dry skin and you decide to use matte products, knowing that your skin is awfully dry and not taken care of, that's going to be a problem. So if you have dry skin and you're always prepping your skin, you're always moisturizing, you're always hydrating, when you apply matte products onto your skin, it won't look bad, it won't look blotchy, and it just will not look bad. So taking care of your skin allows you to use more versatile products. If you have oily skin, also when you have oily skin, you definitely need to moisturize. So let's say you have oily skin and you believe that because you have oily skin, you don't need to moisturize. When you decide to use dewy products, they're not going to sit nicely on your face because your face is not used to dewy products. However, if you have oily skin and you moisturize, you tone your face, you use hydrating products every now and then, your skin will be a lot more used to dewy products. So when you apply dewy products, you won't immediately start to break into a sweat because your face is used to that. So just like how you train anything, you can train your face. If you have oily skin, you can literally train your face to be dry. Don't skip moisturizing, don't skip toning, don't skip hydrating oily skin. Because if you constantly use products that block the oils, then that's going to be another problem. That's going to be acne. Okay, the foundation, we already know what our shade is. It's 360, and you just want to build it up. Light layers. For some persons who like a full coverage, that's fine. You don't need to go in, you don't need to. Somebody feels attacked. I'm not attacking you, but if you have oily skin, you still need to hydrate. I know it sounds silly, but if you have oily skin, you still need to wake up, you still need to apply some toner, you still need to apply something that is hydrating. It will aid in the excess oil production. Okay, so if you like a full coverage, that's fine. What's the difference between Fit Me and Superstay? I find that Superstay is more full coverage. So Superstay is a lot more full coverage. It looks almost not drugstore. So this one is easier to use if you're a beginner because it doesn't dry as quickly. Superstay dries really quickly. It doesn't dry as quickly. So it's easier to use, it's easier to build up. Superstay is thick. So if you don't watch what you're doing, you might look a little heavy. Okay, so I know this is a thin layer, but it's always better to build the layers instead of applying all that foundation at once. When you apply lots of foundation at once, it is 90% more likely to look cakey. Build the layers up because while I'm blending it out, it's drying. So, you know, for example, even when you're painting and you go in with a shade and then it dries, then you apply another shade and then it dries and it builds up nicely. If you begin with too much product, it will cake. It will not dry as nicely. That's going to be a problem.
Chanel is asking if liquid foundation is better than powder.
Yes. I think liquid is better than powder because liquid is easier to distribute. Powder, when you pick up powder on your brush, most times not every area on your brush will pick up powder and you don't notice, but there are areas that are going to be a little bit blotchy when you apply powder foundation. But what you can do is apply a liquid foundation, and then when you are through, you can set the area with powder. So you would have already had a base, so you don't need to worry about it being blotchy. So we're applying one more layer. We allow the first layer to dry down. Also, if you don't go all the way directly up under the eyes, that is fine, because we're going to apply concealer. You want to apply it everywhere. You can bring it down to your neck. You can even put it onto your ears, especially if you're going to take a photograph. For example, if you're going to do a photo shoot, you want to put the foundation onto your ears as well.
Okay.
There are some persons, let's say, for example, you have a lighter face and your neck is a little bit darker. So most times, your ears will be light too, because that's a part of your face. So what you want to do, just to blend the area nicely, apply some of the foundation onto your ears. It really helps with the blend. Pull it downwards, pull it under your chin. Also,
well, there's a question. Oh, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
No, you can go. You can continue.
Nataki is just asking what's the advantage of using a brush and a blender.
Okay, so I like a brush for applying foundation, it's solely for the distribution, but I will go over it with the beauty blender. So what I will do, not yet, I will just tap the entire face with the beauty blender when I'm finished. Because most brushes, especially brushes that aren't the best brand, most brushes, they will leave behind streaks. I don't know if anybody has ever had that problem where you apply your foundation with a brush and it leaves behind a streak. That can be fixed. If your foundation brush leaves behind a streak, you can just fix it with your beauty blender. So when you tap your beauty blender over it, it evens it out. We're doing just another light layer. Also, if you don't like a heavy look and if you don't like a completely covered look, don't apply too much foundation, because the concealer can do the work. There are some concealers, I know e.l.f. is really thick. I know L'Oreal Infallible, and I'm telling you the brands that are affordable. So there are lots more brands. For example, Tarte, you have MAC, you have lots more full coverage brands, but I'm telling you the affordable brands that you can just pick up in a nearby pharmacy. So e.l.f. is really, really thick and nice, and L'Oreal Infallible is really thick and nice. So if you don't want a coverage that's too full coverage when you apply your foundation, you can leave the rest of it to your concealer. Your concealer will do the rest, because to be honest, you really don't need all that coverage, especially if the concealer has the same consistency, because there are some persons who even skip the foundation step. Some persons will just conceal, because there are concealers that are as thick as foundation. You don't need all this. You really don't need all these layers. Then we will pull it down onto the neck. I'll fix that. Just remove the product from my hand. Oh, my hair. What did I didn't see the comments? Oh, sorry. Okay, we're going to be finished in, what time is it? Okay. We're going to be finished in a second. It's really just explaining all the steps that took up most of the time. But when you're just applying this onto, it's really just explaining all the steps that took up the time. But when you're doing this onto yourself, trust me, it takes no time. especially because you're not going to wear heavy glitter out.
Right. Italia is asking if you spoke about color correcting.
Okay, sure. So color correcting is good for, I know that most darker skin tone persons have a problem with hyperpigmentation. So when you're trying to correct hyperpigmentation, so that is when you have some darker areas, you would apply a color that's a little more orange, because the orange will neutralize the darker areas and will give you a nicer coverage. I use orange to cover acne as well. It works fine, and it works just as nicely. So for example, if you have really dark acne spots, you can tap orange. Don't cover the entire area, but you can tap the orange shade directly onto where you have acne. Just cover each spot and then apply your foundation on it. I find that it covers it. It covers it nicely. But I know that that's most of the problem for most darker skin persons, having to deal with areas that are darker. And I know you may worry when you apply it because the orange really does look crazy, but when you apply your foundation over the orange, it just fixes it. It fixes it so nicely. Also, when you're blending your concealer, the brush I used was fairly good, so I didn't have to go over the entire area with the beauty blender, but you can do this. Also, when you're applying your concealer, it will dry very quickly. So in order for it to blend smoothly, just spray your face. And for your entire makeup application, you can just spray your face continuously. It doesn't affect your makeup application. It actually helps it to look a lot more radiant and hydrated. So I'm going to cover her eyes because we don't want the shadow. Spray your sponge as well. I didn't see can you please, I saw something about brushes. There was a question about
Sure.
brushes I didn't see.
She just said, where are the brushes? Could you just ask that question again, please?
Can you please repeat? I didn't hear.
She said spraying the brushes. Okay, if you could spray. If you
So
could spray the brush as well.
Sure, you could spray your brush because most of these mists, they dry very quickly. So you could spray your brush as well, but I would recommend spraying your face as opposed to spraying the brush. You can spray, I usually spray the beauty blender, but I wouldn't spray the brush, I would spray the face. And you would just blend the highlighter upwards. Up. And you can pull the highlighter along the line that you created for your eyeshadow, just to clean it up. I'm not going to go directly onto the eyeliner because I'm going to spread the shadow under the bottom. So when you're applying highlighter, you just bring it upwards onto the cheekbone. I usually blend it from the center of the face outwards, along the side of the nose, around on your mustache, around, and you bring it up onto your cheekbones. It will lift your face when you bring it up onto your cheekbones. So I usually don't spread it across the entire area. I spread it up onto the cheekbones, just lifting my cheekbones, because I'm going to contour under here anyway, so I don't need the highlighting product to ruin the base for my contour. So you would just blend it upwards, as close as possible to your waterline, your lower waterline. And you can never blend it. Can you
We have a
repeat that?
question. We have a question from Kamisha, and she's asking, what's the best matte foundation pressed powder?
The best matte. Okay, does she mean the best matte drugstore or the best matte overall? Also, the forehead is drying, so I'm just going to spray it once again. Okay, so both. Okay, so the best matte drugstore foundation to me is Maybelline Superstay. It is such a good foundation. It is just, the coverage is very, very nice. However, it dries very quickly. So if you decide to buy and use Superstay, you may want to blend it quickly. What I do when I'm applying foundation, when I know that it dries quickly, I apply it to one area at a time. So I would apply it to right here, then the forehead. So apply it to one area at a time. That helps when it dries quickly. And
Okay.
the pressed powder, I know that L'Oreal Infallible pressed powder is really good. However, the shade ranges are very limited. So I wouldn't recommend L'Oreal Infallible. The shade ranges are extremely limited. But I do know that Black Radiance has really, really nice pressed powders. You can try Black Radiance. So you can try Black Radiance, you can try Fit Me. Fit Me and Infallible, L'Oreal Infallible. For high-end products, I do know that MAC pressed powders, they are very pretty. I'm applying just a little bit more on the hair. Just trying to fix a little bit of her dark circles here. Okay, so for high-end, I do know that the Fenty foundation dries in a nanosecond. It dries so quickly. So if you decide to buy, well, that's what I have found using it. So if you decide to buy the Fenty foundation, that's another thing you want to do. You want to blend it very quickly. The matte, the Fenty Pro Filter, it's very matte. And I know that it dries down nicely. However, it may not be the best for oily skin. So that is now the MAC. Now I'm mentioning MAC. I'm mentioning the MAC foundation. I do know that it is very full coverage. It dries down nicely. However, it is better for dry skin, in my opinion. And the MAC press powders, I think they're one of the best matte press powders. So if you want to invest in the matte press powder from MAC, you can. Also, if you don't know your shade, there's this new feature on MAC online, MAC, so that is maccosmetics.com. There's this new feature where you use your camera to find your true shade. So the feature, you would just go in really nice bright sunlight and it scans your face and it shows you your true match. It shows you 4 other shades that are close to your undertone. So you can try it. Yeah, it's so cool. I tried it and the shade that it gave me was actually the shade that matched me. The one that said like the most perfect match. So I find that that's so good. So what you can do is say, for example, before you go ahead and go to the store and try it, you can do that online. And then when you go to the store, you can then just it saves you time because online, when I tried the thing, it gave me 5 shades. So it saves you time. So when you go to the store, instead of having to try like a million shades, you do know that you're going specifically for those 5 shades and you would see which one is your very, very best match in person. But the feature is so cool, this new virtual try-on. And I do know that I believe maybe there are lots more sites who have the virtual try-on. It's becoming a thing now. Maybe because of the pandemic where most persons aren't able to go in store and we're ordering online. So there's a virtual try-on feature now. I set her face just now with the Benai powder in Camel. Camel is close to her skin tone, but now I will brighten it with Sacha Buttercup in the inner areas. I won't pull the Buttercup too far out. I'm just trying to focus it directly under her under eyes. Also, what you can do, you don't need to cream contour. I cream contour because I like cream contouring, but powder contouring works just fine. So that will sit for just a second. Usually, for most persons, I skip cream contouring because it takes up time. It's too much product and it's not necessary. But I will put a light layer of cream onto her face just to show you what cream contouring is. So cream contouring is just applying a darker shade around the perimeters of her face. That's literally it. And then you blend. Blending cream contour, you can use your foundation brush. I find that it blends nicely. So the same brush that you use to apply your foundation, use it to apply the cream contour because you are going to go over it. with powder. Again, for a nicer blend, just wet the area. Foundation brush, and we do this quickly. And I don't know if you notice, I'm not blending it out completely. So the product is wet now. Wet my beauty blender bottom, sorry. And I run it along it. This will aid in the blend. So you're going directly under the area you highlighted, directly up on the cheekbone. Pull the product downwards. This is basically cream contouring. Of course, I would use a lot more product if I was solely cream contouring. However, I'm just showing you what cream contouring is as opposed to powder. So this is cream contouring. All right, so this is cream contouring. And what you do when you cream contour, you set it with a powder. If I didn't cream contour, I would just go ahead and use a powder straight off. I'm using, okay, where did I'm trying to find the, okay, here it is. Using this Iman powder in the shape, in the shade Earth Dark. And you just go along the areas that you just applied the cream to. And it will set it nicely. However, especially if you're lighter skinned, I find that contouring is easier because you do know, as long as you put a product that is darker than your skin tone on your face, it is going to show very pigmented. So it's very easy for it's very, very easy for light skinned persons to contour. However, when you are darker skinned, you would need to find a product that sits well as a product that warms your cheeks. So you have to be careful when you're dark skinned and you're trying to find a contour shade. You do not want to find a shade that is too gray because it will remove all the warmth from your cheeks.
Nataki is asking if you recommend Sasha Buttercup setting powder.
Sure, I do. I'm using it right now, and it's really, really good for dark skin. For light skin, I do know that persons like Benai. There are a lot of shades of setting powder and brands. So I can list a few brands. There is Benai, there's Laura Mercier, there's RCMA, there's Airspun, just to name a few that are affordable. However, for darker skin tones, I like Benai in the shade Camel. So I know a lot of persons think banana powder is the brand. It's not the brand, it's just the shade. So the brand is Benai and the shade is banana, but there are lots more shades. So for dark skin, I would recommend Camel. But for dark skin, Sasha Buttercup is very, very, very nice. It has a yellow undertone, and like I was saying before that most persons with a darker skin tone, they are usually, they appear a little bit more red, so you would say they're cool toned. So it's nice when you apply a powder that is warm, which is the Sasha Buttercup because it's yellow. It's very nice. So yes, I do recommend Sasha Buttercup. It's a very, very nice powder. Then for her cheeks, as well as contouring, I'm applying a little blush. I used to hate blush because I thought this step was unnecessary and it was for light skin. However, using a blush and bronzer in one, that is something that is shimmery as well as pigmented. It brings warmth back to your cheekbones and it is very, very, very nice. It lifts the cheekbones. And another tip I will show you that most persons don't know, you don't need a product that says contour to contour. You can even use eyeshadow to contour. Why do touch-ups? Yeah, how do you do touch-ups after you have applied your? please break that down a little bit more. Like which touch-up exactly do you mean? But yeah, a number of persons now are using even lipstick for blush. You can use lip gloss. You can use eyeshadow. For now, let me show you. I can use this brown for contour. Smile, please. So I will just run this brown directly under her cheekbone here. And that can still be a contour shade. See? So you don't necessarily need to go out and buy contour products or products that say contour. You can use whatever you have, as simple as an eyeshadow shade. And you would run it directly. And in order to find your cheekbone, you can just scrape a little smile. Run it along the perimeters of the face. Trust me, you don't need to go out and buy all these crazy products. They're not necessary. If you've been sweating, how do you reapply? Oh, so first you would tap your face and remove all the excess products if you've been sweating. Remove all of the excess product. Don't pull the tissue or the not tissue napkin, because tissue is fuzzy. So you would just tap your face and remove all the excess oils, and apply powder. So for touch-ups, do not apply any liquid onto your face, because bearing in mind that liquids would have already been blended and set. So if you need to touch up your face, only apply powder products. So for example, if your contour or your blush seems a little bit washed out, apply a powder blush, apply a powder contour. Also, you can go ahead and set your under eyes again, because most persons, their T-zone will sweat. You can go ahead and apply more setting powder. Not a heavy amount, but just use a beauty blender, tap your setting powder, tap off the excess powder, and then just tap it under your eyes. Okay, we're trying to blend all the powders together before we go any further, so we will spray.
Nataki's asking if she can use dark concealer as contour.
Sure. Okay. No. Close. Sure, you can definitely use dark concealer as contour. You can use foundation as contour. So if you happen to have bought a foundation that is too dark for you and you still have it, you can use it as contour. If you bought a foundation that's too light for you, you still have it, you can use it as highlight. You can use foundation to contour. You can use, if you have a powder for your skin that doesn't match, you can use it to contour. It's as simple as darkening. So whatever you believe that can darken the areas of the face or lighten the areas of the face, you can definitely apply them. Okay. For highlights, I'm using this Anastasia Beverly Hills Sun Dipped Glow Kit. Using bronze and tourmaline. So these are for lighter skin tones. These are definitely for darker skin tones. I love these. You just do a little smile. I don't like to go in too heavy. And I allow it to sit on the wet area, and I will blend it out again once it has dried down. So you can also, for the setting spray, you can make your face as wet as you want to, not dripping wet, but the more setting spray, the nicer the powders will blend. I'm darkening her under eyes now, and I will use eyeliner. Same eyeliner, the same dip eyeliner that I used before. I will now use it to darken her under eyes. This is also nice to use because I literally just need to pull it, and that's it. Don't think about it. When you're using a pencil, you have to rub the pencil on the eye, and of course your eyes are going to water. Using the dip, you're on a quick line. And that was just for the waterline. For below, I will apply shadows. That's another trick. You always want to ensure that the top and the bottom looks even. So, all right, we're going to give it some time while it runs. Yeah, that happens. That's fine. Just let it run. Just give it some time while it runs. Right, so the highlighter was sitting, and you can remove the excess. with a brush. And you can use a brush to make your highlighter brighter, darker, however you want it. And then you can apply as much as you want to apply to make it as pigmented as you want it. Usually for the daytime, I don't like highlighter that's too pigmented. You just need a little reflection from the sun. And when you go outside, that will do the trick. For the nighttime, definitely you would have to apply a little bit more because there is no reflection from the sun. So we're finishing up now. We're darkening the under eye. I'm going in with most of the shades I use for the top. So the plums, the browns, the purples. We are applying all those shades to the bottom that we have on top. Just to balance the top and the bottom, because you can't have all this action on top and then the bottom is bare. So we have to smoke up the bottom. And you do this by simply applying all the shades you use on top, and you build them up the same way that you build the top. Light shades, dark shades. So you would put the darker shades as close as possible to the waterline. You would use a fuzzy brush and blend it downwards. And I will show you what I mean. So those brushes are a little bit more precise. So that same little pinky shade, just fuzzy it downwards. And that will create the balance. Remember, the lighter shades go towards the bottom, the darker shades go towards the waterline. Also, after you have applied the Sacha setting powder, you may want to go over it with a skin tone powder, just so it doesn't look as ashy and just to prevent any flashback. So we are going in with all of those same dark shades. And you know where we have the pink towards the outer edge and it blends into the darker purple? That's what we're doing. Pink under the lower edges, darker purple towards the top. Straight line again, plum shade. Directly on the waterline, and we'll apply black, jet black. And these are all powders. They're a lot easier to work with than having to apply black eyeliner under your eye and trying to blend it out. When we're finished with this step, we will apply her lips and she will be finished.
Someone had asked a question regarding lipstick. They said, how do you match lipstick and eyeshadow?
Okay, so you will want to choose a lipstick that has the same undertone. So let's say she has purple eyes now. You may not want to use an undertone such as red. You want to use something that complements it. And I believe what would complement it nicely, also with all this drama on top, I prefer something closer to a nude. All this drama on top, I would not recommend the lipstick unless it's for a photo shoot, definitely, or it's for something, you know, like a moment that requires all of that drama. But if your eyes have all this drama, I would definitely recommend a nude. I prefer brighter lipsticks when you have a nude eye. So let's say, for example, you have a really bland brown eye. Then you can go ahead and you can definitely apply your red lipstick, your purple lipstick. But that's how I would do it. And then right now, I would just choose a shade that complements it. So definitely we try to use a pinky shade, but not too pink because you don't want it to distract from the eyes. So I want it to complement it, but I definitely don't want it to distract from the eyes. when you have eyes with this much drama, you want to be careful not to distract from the eyes. All right. Then we will mascara for your bottom lashes. Mascara for the bottom lashes are always nice. Definitely complements a smoky eye. Also makes your eyes appear a whole lot brighter. I'm applying just a little highlighter in the inner corner. Just for a little pop. Please hold the lips. Under the drier areas. Allow this to dry down again while we fix her lips. You just want to use any lip liner for lips, to be honest. Any brown lip liner is fine. And I like using brown just for an outline because it traces the natural outline of your lips and your lips appear a lot fuller. When you don't apply lip liner, it's not as neat to me and your lips aren't as defined. So you're definitely going to blend it out. Even if it's too dark when you just apply, you're definitely going to blend it into your eyeline, your eye, saying your lip gloss or your lipstick. You wouldn't leave it. I don't know if you can see the outline, but you wouldn't leave it like this. It's just for an outline. And like I said, setting spray, you can apply as much as you would like. It dries right down and it blends all the powders. For the lips, I'm using this BH Cosmetics Luxe Lacquer, and I'm not sure if it's discontinued, but I don't see it on the site anymore. It's really good. It is just going to put a little pigment on her lips before it gloss. Not a lot, just very little pigment before gloss. Then she's going to rub them together. So there really isn't a lot of pigment, just a tad. Then we're using the Fenty Beauty Gloss Balm in the shade Fenty Glow. I used the pink shade before because I wanted just a little pink on her lips just to complement the pink on her eyes. This shade is very nude, a brown nude. I didn't want it to be a brown nude. I wanted it to be just a tad pink. So I may use another pink shade because I just want a tad more pink. Not super pink, just a little pigment. Okay, so there we have a base. Not as pink as I would like. I have this Burberry gloss here and just a tad. Not super pink. I personally don't like lipstick with dramatic eyes. Just a little too much drama. You just need some gloss, natural looking gloss. If you feel like you can no longer see the edges of your lip liner, you can definitely run the liner on the lip again. All right, then we're going to go over all the way up. For nose contour, this for powder contouring, blend the shadow up into the brow. The shadow, the powder, whatever you decide to use. Same dark powders. Also, if you're a beginner, it's easier to powder contour your nose than it is to cream contour because it is very, very hard to blend. Also, for the sake of photography, you may not see the contour looking super sharp until you take a picture, but after you've taken the picture, you realize, okay, this was super sharp. Just to focus the light on the areas that you want to show the most in the picture, you apply highlighter, just a little. So first you want the bridge of the nose to show the most. I don't bring it all the way down. Most times the light focuses right here and right here. Most times that's where the light focuses. The tip and the bridge towards the center. And also, blush and bronzer washes out very quickly. As in, you may apply a lot and then by the time you're finished, you realize you don't see blush and bronzer. You can definitely go ahead and apply some more. Pull it upwards. Powders wash out. It's her smile for me. Also, you want to use a light hand with all these products. And bronzer and blush just to bring some warmth back to the cheekbones. A picture of this look will be posted on the page. So if you haven't already, it would be nice for you to follow the Instagram page that is at officialbeautyclub_. If you haven't already, a picture will be posted. Also, okay. And just a little skin tone like powder over the highlight, just to tone the highlight down. So, no, look up. So we didn't have to cut the crease for the I don't know if I can right here. Right, so close our eyes. Just wanted to show you all the drama on the eyes. So you didn't have to cut the crease to get a lot of drama on the eyes. I want to stand up, please. I'm going to show you guys. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to show you guys what it looks like. Stand towards right there. Yeah. Look at this light. Okay, use the light over there. So let me just comb. All right. I'm going to use natural light to show you guys the finished look. So just a second. Just a second, I'm going to show you guys the finished look when I fix her hair. And then we are through. All right, so I want you guys to tell me. I do know that the light is different under the ring light. However, this light is natural. Oh dear, just a second. Let me know. Let me just 1 second. I don't know if you guys are able to see, but she did blend quite nicely. Also, you don't need to cut your crease to get nice dramatic eyes. Her eyes are very nice, pigmented and dramatic without having to, and I hope you guys know what a cut crease is. Do you guys know what a cut crease is?
I do.
Right.
But
So
someone in the chat says that she doesn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so a cut crease is, okay, so when she closes her eyes, you see where I used a shimmery color right here. Usually some persons would use concealer and they would create a base, a very thick base with a very clear cut line. So what they call that is a cut crease. So you're basically creating a very, very clean, nice, clear, defined line right along her crease. So you have a half cut crease. Where I placed the pigment, it would be a half cut crease. If I had placed it all the way on her eyelid, it would have been a full cut crease. But this would have been a half cut crease. You know, I don't know if you know when you follow influencers and you can see where there's this clear, a clear cut line in the shadow. That's when they cut the crease. Yes, but I didn't cut this crease. And it still got a nice, beautiful look. Usually when your chest doesn't match your chin, there is a shadow. Right, a cut crease has this sharp, nice line, and they use concealers or eyeshadow bases to cut the crease. Usually when your chest doesn't match your chin, you can see this bright contrast. So you do see where, well, on my camera, it looks like, it's running into the skin, the neck is running, the face is running into the neck. So why that happened is because we matched her neck instead of matching her face and her facial undertones. So I know I told you that she had 2 undertones, which meant that she was neutral. So she was cool towards the perimeters of her face, and the inner areas of her face, she was warm. What I did was I chose a cool color because her neck and her chest was cool. That cool color, I applied it onto her entire face. But what happened is that it caused her face to look flat. So how I brought back depth and definition to her face, I applied the warm concealer, which was fun, and these areas are brightened again without looking too white. So here she is. Bye, Whitney. Here she is, the nice finished look. I gave her sparkly purple. And I also feel like purple, it's very nice and complementing for her skin tone.
Yes.
I love the purple. So guys, it was really nice having you today. If you haven't already followed the page, I would really, thank you so much, Tashe. Thank you guys. I would really appreciate it if you would follow my Instagram page. I know some persons are located in Trinidad. I know right across the Caribbean. Yeah. So I know you guys are not in Jamaica. I am in Jamaica. However, if you do come here and you like to have your makeup done, thank you guys. If you do come to Jamaica and you like to have your makeup done, you can definitely contact me. My personal Instagram page is there. I do take appointments from my personal page as well, which is at Nikki NIKKI official __, or my makeup page, Official Beauty Club. You're welcome, guys. And also, I'm sorry it took this long. It's just a lot of explaining. Trust me, it's a lot of explaining. I want it to be as in-depth as possible. And it's hard doing makeup on live and still getting it neat because I try to focus when I'm doing my makeup. So it's just music in the background and not much talking. However, I try to do it as neatly as I could for you guys. And this is her finished look. Listen, soft glam is my thing. If you go on my Instagram page, you know that soft glam is my thing. And that is also why I wanted to go full glam today, so that you can see that, you know, we are versatile. However, it's based on clients' request. Everybody wants a soft glam now. Soft glam is trending. So here we are. And she does match. I know you can see where there's no clear white line. So if she was supposed to take a picture, I'm also going to attach flash photography when I post on my Instagram page. So please follow the page to see the finished pictures. But you do see where she matched beautifully. So if you do come to Jamaica, you do want to be glammed if you're in another Caribbean island, you can let me know when you're here. If not, if you're in Mandeville, I am in Mandeville. If you're in Kingston, I'm in Kingston as well. If you need an appointment, just message me and I will respond to you. So guys, thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity as well. I loved my host. Thank you for assisting with the questions. Any other questions, guys, you can definitely message me. I do assist with makeup application. So if you're applying your makeup and you feel like it looks a little bit off and you want to just message me really quickly and say, this look off, I'll definitely tell you if it looks off, or I'll tell you, apply a little bit more of that, a little less of that. So if you need assistance, you can definitely message any one of my pages. My Instagram name is Nikki Official. That is N-I. Wait, let me see if I can attach it in the chat. That is Nikki. I'm typing it in the chat right now. OFFICIAL with 2 underscores. That's my personal Instagram. And my makeup Instagram is Official Beauty, BEAUTYCLUB with 1 underscore. All right, guys. So one last look. Here we are. She matched perfectly. I love how the purple complemented her skin tone. So I want a smile from my model, please. And when she smiles, you can definitely see her contour and her highlights. She looked absolutely beautiful today. So I wanted to look down. Here we are. Thank you, guys. And again, thank you so much for following. And if you need assistance, you can definitely reach out to me. All right, so this is the end of this session. My host can now take over from me.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Oh my goodness. This was such an enlightening presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you, our model. She's welcome. So beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
And she was such a good model, because I know this took a lot of time.
Yes.
Here
I don't know about. Right. Yes. So beautiful.
Shimmery. All right. So you can go ahead and close off for me.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
We're so grateful for having you.
Thank you. And I'll definitely do it again. So if you need me, you can always reach out.
Most definitely.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So guys, I don't know about you, but wow, no one can look at me and tell me I'm not a professional makeup artist. I learned a whole load. I learned a course during this 2-3 hours. And Nataki, oh my gosh, no one can look at Nataki, because Nataki came out and she made the most of this opportunity. Ravini, I'm seeing all of you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. This was such an amazing presentation. I would apologize for going over time, but beauty is time and we learned so much. So there's really nothing to be sorry for. I know some persons had to leave for class and that's okay. I'm just grateful for those who managed to stay. Thank you all for coming out. On behalf of the entire team, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Nikki Allen, even though she's gone, for taking time out of her schedule to be here to teach us about the nips and naps of makeup, doing our makeup, contouring, mixing and blending and all that technical stuff I realized I was doing wrong. So guys, I'm just really, really happy and grateful that I had this experience. And I know all of you guys are as well. This was just really enlightening for me, and I know it was for you too. So we're just getting heated, right? We're in the middle of the heat because tomorrow we'll be having Demar Brown come, as he's a photographer, the CEO of DB Photography. So he'll come and he'll bring us through, the different things that we need to know when taking pictures, as Nikkei taught us how to get ready for pictures. So Damar is going to show us how to take proper pictures, in addition to what Kifa showed us on day one. So guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. This was a beautiful program. Thanks, big up to the Commuters Publications Committee for hosting this. This is just such a beautiful initiative that I'm really benefiting from. So guys, I am thankful, I'm grateful, and I'm happy. Thank you all for coming, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a nice day. Oh, and don't forget to follow us on our socials so that when you do your nice little beat, you can at Nikkei and you can at the Commuters, PCC, the UE Commuters. Follow our pages. Follow me at Miss Optimist on Instagram. I'm Sherry Campbell, your host. Thank you guys. Goodbye.